our listeners know what I think the biggest storyline is this offseason was this massive shift to paying wide receivers and now the movement of elite wide receivers and what that does, the impact. Because I'm a big shiny objects guy, right? I think Davante Adams elevates an offense. I think Tyreek Hill elevates an offense. A.J. Brown elevates an offense. They're leaving two elite quarterbacks in Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes and a Ryan Tannehill whose career has completely changed since A.J. Brown got drafted. They're going to new situations. What's that going to do for their old situations, and how much can they elevate their new situations? I think this is the biggest story in the NFL this offseason.
I 100% agree. And I also think that teams are buying in. And it's something we've said for a few years now, that it's not okay to just be a good offense in the NFL anymore. You have to be putting up you have to be capable of going toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes, Josh. You have to be able to put up 40 at a moment's notice to win a Super Bowl or to get in the conversation of the Super Bowl consistently in today's NFL. So saying, we have a nice 1-2 punch at wide receiver, it's not enough anymore. Yeah. You have to have a lot of guys, and I think we saw that in this year's draft finally, teams saying, oh shit, we have to, just because we have a guy doesn't mean we're set. So you saw, 6 receivers go in the top 16 picks, or top 18 picks. And it's just they started flying off the board. Whereas 2 years ago, I don't think it was that dissimilar in terms of talent-wise from the 2019 wide receiver class, where A.J. Brown goes second round, Deebo Samuel goes second round, DK Metcalf goes second round. Right. If we redo that, or if teams sort of had the philosophy that they do now of what they had back then had the philosophy they do now, we would have seen a lot of those guys go a lot higher, and you would have seen this arms race start earlier, because I do think teams are realizing, just having a balanced offense and defense, you're going to be the Titans, basically. You're going to be okay, you're going to be in the playoffs, but you're not going to compete for Super Bowls unless you can really light up scoreboards.
Yeah, that's an interesting take on if you go back to 2019 and how maybe the NFL has just changed since then. I think valuing receivers, their impact, receivers in volume. One of the things I think there's more to study, though, is the impact of a true wide receiver one, right? We talk a lot about, Tyreek Hill dictates coverage. Well, what does that do for the offense? I think we'll be able to point at the end of the season, because I think the Chiefs are going to see more man coverage this year. I don't think there's guys on the team that are scary that you can't play man. So we're going to be able to say, okay, here's how teams play the Chiefs with Tyreek Hill and without Tyreek Hill. So he dictates coverage. Or Davante Adams can take over a game. A.J. Brown absolutely has taken over games. But what's the other effect? What's their gravity? How much are they drawing coverage? All that stuff. I think that stuff exists, but it's been hard to quantify unless you're just saying, but here's how we'll be able to do it this year. If Derek Carr puts up MVP-like production, or Tua takes a big step forward, right, statistically, but maybe his PFF grade is similar. And same thing with Jalen Hurts. Could have a similar PFF grade and maybe production through the roof. We're able to start quantifying not just having multiple receivers, but having that one guy that makes everything else better.
Yes, I am very interested. And we have some nice case studies in KC and Green Bay, because KC went with the replacement by a number of guys.
Aggregates.
Replace one guy with a myriad, kind of like how they replaced their offensive line last year. Let's just bring in throw the kitchen sink at it. That's what they did the receiving core. So they have talent there. Maybe it's not top-end talent. I don't think they have any true elite guy. And even Kelsey at his age right now probably wouldn't even qualify as a true elite separator, to where, it's going to have to be within the scheme. He's not going to be saying, screw it, throw it up to Tyreek, or screw it like Tyreek's open somewhere. That's not going to be in the game plan, and obviously defense aren't going to have to account for it. Whereas Aaron Rodgers and the Packers replaced it with not the same caliber of names. They replaced it with nobodies. And now Rodgers, the whole last 6 games without Davante, 17 touchdowns, 1 pick, over 300 yards a game. Yes, he has done well without Davante Adams.
But by the way, Mahomes has similar stats, that 5-game stretch that Tyreek Hill was out.
Yeah.
So, but those are small sample sizes.
But again, yes, that is a very small sample size, and it's usually the duds that really show out where you have no one to get the ball to, that we'll see if those prop up more often this season.
Yeah, Rodgers had, 1 game without Davante last year? It was the Cardinals game. And a lot of people use that as they went in and they beat the undefeated Cardinals. Rodgers, the offense wasn't that good.
That game was a joke. Yes. That game was an absolute, what they did offensively. And now it was more than just Davante, right? They had a couple guys.
Yeah,
I think Lazard was out as well.
They had COVID issues.
Yeah, they had it was basically even a worse version of this year's wide receiving core, and it just turned the offense into side screens left and right. So
that would be the concern. I mean, so there's also a difference too, I think, when you're losing a receiver and you have to kind of like adjust on the fly versus they're going into the season knowing what they're dealing with. But again, I'm always of the mind. So here's the phrase I've used recently. I don't want to know what Patrick Mahomes looks like without Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. I don't want to live in that, or that level of receiver. I don't want to live in that world if I'm the Chiefs. So I want to make that.
Well, they drafted Sky Moore, so they're not going to have to.
They did draft Sky Moore, which, yeah, and we love Sky Moore, but it's like, what is Sky Moore plus Juju plus Valdez-Scantling plus whatever's left of Mecole Hardman? How is that going to add up when, look, there are just plays where Tyreek Hill, you throw a 13-yard little in-cut and he takes it to the house, right? That's how they beat the Bills, right? I mean, just like, hey, Tyreek Hill, go take over this game. You and Kelce, the Chiefs don't have that anymore. But is this going to be better for Mahomes' development, or is he going to come back down to earth?
No, I 100% agree with you that if I'm Chiefs brass, I probably would have done more to try to keep Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And obviously the cap situation dictated having to move on from him, what he wanted contract-wise. And like the deal they got, by all means, do that. Because like you said, I don't want to have to figure out, like Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith are probably licking their chops thinking about like Patrick Mahomes' fall from grace if it doesn't work out for him this year. Like every morning show is like wants it not to go well. I think they did a good job replacing it. But like if I was the Chiefs, like that is a duo that, again, like I said, Tyreek Hill, what he does to change games is not something I would have wanted in an ideal world to see Patrick Mahomes go without.